Okay, I think we have a ghost in the machine. Okay, that's a wonderful lead in to our show this evening. Hello, creepies and crawlies. I hope that you are joining us this evening for a fun-filled adventure where we are going to talk about all things Beetlejuice. So let me go ahead and bring in my fabulous co-hosts.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
How is everybody doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm so excited. And the way that everyone dressed up, we're like, oh, what are we talking about? Hang on. We've
We
got
got
the, like,
this.
everyone looks so good. Magda, the
Oh,
headpiece.
that's
Is that
amazing.
gloves? Is that actually gloves on
it's
your head?
actually gloves. I just took
Oh my
gloves and tied them and stitched them together.
God. Oh,
It's like if I'm going to do it, should do it properly.
I love this.
That'll be one of the things that I'll be talking about is Delia Dietz's fashion, which I love it.
Oh,
Oh,
that's amazing.
yes. That's a fashion icon right there.
How is everybody doing? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting messages to adjust like backstage stuff. So if I look preoccupied, it's because I'm getting text messages right now that I'm trying to
Well, you
fix
know
my
what?
microphone. What?
While you're doing that, why don't I'm going to click on this disclaimer here. Magda, would you?
Yes.
Of course. Warning, this show may contain strong language or disturbing topics which may not be suitable for children, and unusual humour which may not be suitable for adults.
All right.
Yay!
Yay. Still getting messages. Okay. Don't know. I'm getting messages that my mic is muffled sounding, but I'm not going to be able to do anything about that. So I'm just going to have to kind of
Okay.
leave it as is. So hello. Hello. We know that that is our friend Willow Schuyler of Schuyler Productions. How is everybody doing?
That's the
I'm
third
hey,
test.
yes. Okay. Hang on. I'm
How
like a
are you,
walk
DL? How
I
are
am a
you?
walking technical difficulty just from the word go. You know what? I'm going to quit messing with technical stuff. So we're just
We
going to.
have we have Joey the roadie and we
We
have the
do.
cabana boy backstage. They've
Yes.
got this.
Yes. I'm not
They've
going to
got
be.
this.
Yes. They got this. And I apologize if I am muffled sounding because, oh my God, those gloves. Those are amazing. Yes. I saw. We are getting comments already. Yeah, it's going to be an unhinged night. I'm just going to tell you this already. I am exhausted. My brain is a bit squishy fried. And
Right.
yeah. So okay. So I just want to start out by saying, um, Lauren, thank you for coming out yesterday. Yesterday is
Oh
one
yeah.
of the things that I do on a regular basis. I've been doing this annually for a while. It is the Carl Perkins, McNairy County Carl Perkins Center, where there's a superhero day, which has turned into superheroes, Disney princesses, Harry Potter, Star Wars. It's a little bit of everything. And I don't know how else to explain it other than it is a big Comic Con for children that is free, and there's games and there's all kinds of things to do. There's a lot of giveaway items and um, tons of comic books for kids, but it is an absolute blast. And it is about a 3 hour event, which from the moment you walk out in character, and I am pretty much always Bellatrix,
Mm-hmm.
um, but from the moment you walk out in character, you are on until the day ends, and it's can be a pretty lengthy process, and but it's so much fun, so rewarding to go play with the children and have a good day. But had to kind of plug that. Anything fun this weekend that you guys were doing?
Well, we went to this really cool superhero event.
Ah,
No,
okay.
we knew you were going to be there working it, and we have a whole bunch of friends who were also there
Mhm.
in cosplay. I mean, we knew the Catwoman, we knew the Harley Quinn, we knew the Poison Ivy, we knew the Wolverine. We knew so many people there. It was very awkward walking in and not being in a cosplay while everyone else is, and I'm just standing there like,
Right.
this is what I look like in normal life.
It's an amazing event, and honestly, if you have children, it's about an hour and a half drive for us to get there. And so but if you have little children, honestly, they allow kids all the way up to the age of 18. So, and
Mhm.
the adults that come are big kids too. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a great it's designed to be an awareness. Oh yeah, there are all of the cosplayers. And as you can see, I'm like down in the very bottom.
Oh, right up front, of course you are.
Yeah, I'm like serious black. So yeah, it's like yeah, it was a cousin reunion. Nobody was trying to kill each other or anything like that. I don't know, maybe just a little bit, but yes, a phenomenal event, and it's really for a good cause. It is to bring awareness to the prevention of child abuse, and there's a lot of things such as they have people from the police department on site that are doing thumbprint kits and stuff for kids. So if your child does go missing, you do have at least a photo and
I hate to interrupt you, DL, but you are suddenly so much more muffled than you were before.
oh
I completely missed the fingerprint kits and all of that
oh
stuff. That was there. That was probably outside with the police. That would make more sense if it was. We kind of avoided that area because they kept letting kids come in and honk the fire horn, the fire
yeah
what is that truck?
yes
They would go in and the kids wouldn't, honk and yeah, I didn't know. They were like,
Mm.
"Ah," and we were like, yeah, I'm getting a migraine. This was fun. Let's go back inside now. Um, but yeah, we'll have to go and definitely check out the fingerprint kits and all of that because that sounds kind of fun.
Well, and honestly, that is actually a great lead in because we were talking about Beetlejuice tonight, and one of our photographers, one of our favorite photographer friends, was there doing images, Huff Photo Studio. And Huff Photo is the amazing photographer that does all of these. If you follow our Facebook, or your Instagram or your TikTok, you're probably seeing some of his images because if we know he's going to be somewhere like
Lovely.
this. Yes. And this is Lauren as she graced the cover of the magazine Her Photo Presents in her Beetlejuice attire. Is this the same Beetlejuice you're wearing this evening or something different?
No, I am obsessed with black and white stripes. Like I'm in something completely different tonight. I
okay.
could probably go put on about
Nice.
12 more outfits and still be Beetlejuice. That picture just really showed me how much my hair has dimmed down. Dang. Okay. That's okay. I'm going to be dyeing it a different color later anyway.
Well, one of the things that we want to go ahead and I guess this is a good time to kind of bring it in and talk about it. But you were talking about the black and white stripes, and obviously there is a lot of influence from the Beetlejuice movies in the world of fashion, especially for goth girls, but also for pinup girls. And one of the things that I really loved was a lot of the characters in the movie and the attire that they were wearing. Magda is wearing the gloves in her hair, and that is, that is pretty much straight on Delia, and it's amazing. Now I know, Magda, you said that you were wanting to talk a little bit about her fashion sense because that's
So something someone you might not notice if you're not really paying attention throughout the movie is that she repurposes everything and you might not notice. One of my favorites that's so funny. There's a moment where she's in the kitchen and she's talking to Lydia and she's wearing a white sort of a dolman sleeve, long sleeved white shirt and a pair of red, almost looking like jumper sort of looking trousers. But if you look closely at them, you'll realize that what she's wearing is not trousers. What she's wearing is a jumper or sweater that Charles wears later in the same movie. A red sweater with white snowflake pattern. She's wearing them upside down as trousers.
wow.
That's really cool. And I have to wonder, is that something that is like specifically written for that character, or is that actress? Because later, if you watch Schitt's Creek, her character in that is such a huge fashion icon, and it's a lot of the same. The character's very different. She's not as dark and gothic, but she still does a lot of those same things. And I'm wondering, like, well, were they inspired by this character since the same actress played it, or is
there it is. See, she's wearing his sweater upside down as a
oh
pair of
wow.
trousers.
How did I never notice that?
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
And there's the point where she wears, she has the gloves in her hair, and later on at the dinner party, she only has one glove on. So it makes you wonder, did she chop it in half and make it into that, and then
Oh,
have one
wow.
left over. So
I
it's
love
fun.
that.
Well,
I
and
love
you
that.
have really captured the look. So it kind of tells me that what she did was pretty much tied in um a glove into her hair. And
Mhm.
was that complicated? Was that easy to do or
This was very simple. I thought I was originally going to take just the one glove and just slice it in half and then take that and tie it together. But instead took a pair of gloves. They're just literally the cheapest sort of Halloween sort of thing that you get, the spandex satin looking sort of thing. It took no time. I literally took it, tied it in a knot, placed it where I thought it looked sort of all right, and then pulled it back and just pinned it with like a safety pins to get it to fit exactly the way I wanted on my head. And then just literally made a mess of my hair. Just sort
Oh,
of
wow.
pulled it out in various ways. Went, let's see if I can get it big and messy. There we are. So unfortunately, my hair's not short enough for the look that she specifically had, but I did the best I could. So my hair's about bust length, so I had sort of lots of pins.
there's a lot to work with there and with the hair.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot. But I love the
Well,
way she sort of recycles everything. It sort of fits with her artistic nature because you see absolutely terrifying sculptures.
Oh, I love them.
But the way that she dresses throughout the entire movie, she recycles many of her outfits multiple times. The costume, the dress or the shirt that she wears with this is a grey and black striped sort of loose fit button-up shirt with like a mandarin collar to it. And later on, she wears the same shirt when she's showing off the Beetlejuice sculpture that she did. She's wearing the same shirt, but she's unbuttoned it and tucked the collar underneath and rolled up the sleeves. So they reused several of the different costumes for her between herself and other members of the cast. Because I stare at what they're wearing. Whenever there's a movie, I'm going to stare at what they're wearing. I'm going to look at the fashion. I'm going to look at the clothing. So I may have been a little bit obsessive about noticing these things.
I love that every character in the movies is kind of like that. Like, very meticulously thought out, what would this person wear? They didn't just be like, oh, it's a gothic movie. Put that person in black and put this one in black, and they're just black lipstick and with the, I don't know, gothy boots. They really thought about it, and they went outside of the box with some of the things, especially with what was his name? Otho. I can never say his name right. Thank you. With the pastel suits that and all of that later, it's really fun, and you can obviously see the themes that each character, like Lydia always had the lace and the things draped over her face, whether it's the hat or even her bangs or like a veil. Beetlejuice with the stripes, no matter whether he's in his regular outfit until he's in the tux, which then again that matches the dress that Lydia's wearing at that point. I really hope with the new movie coming out that the costumes are just as good and epic and time, what is the word I'm trying to think of, where it just it never gets old. It's
timeless.
Thank you. Timeless. I cannot wait to see what they put these characters in.
Which is also very interesting because when you think about, so with the idea of all of the characters in the movie, probably with the exception of Charles, the father, being a fashion icon, and I guess maybe he, although was not what you would consider a cutting edge fashion icon, he basically was what your dad was, he was the epitome of what a, dad was supposed to look like. However, go ahead.
I think they did that, like, not only just with the dad fashion, but I think they also wanted his fashion sense to match the original two people who owned that house.
Yes.
And that's why he loved that. Like, they're the normal people, quotation marks there. They dress in the things, the normies, yeah. They dress in the things that are traditionally worn. They don't have this like very extreme thing. And so I loved that they did that with his character coming in, because that's the reason he loved the house. He had this similar kind of vibe and aesthetic and things that he liked.
But one of the things that I find very interesting, so we're talking about Delia's costuming and her reuse of clothing items and stuff. So, you know, there is this story regarding Michael Keaton in which he met with Tim Burton. I think it was like the third meeting when he finally said, yes, I get it. I understand this. Because, you know, he actually met with Burton several times before and turned down this role multiple times. And then finally had a third meeting. I think, as he put it, he really wanted to work with him. He's like, I really liked him. He was a nice guy. And, you know, he had this vision, but he just wasn't seeing it. So on the third meeting, he finally kind of understood the vision and took it upon himself to actually go to the costume department and start creating this look. So the first day of filming, he shows up on set with the version of Beetlejuice that we kind of see, you know, with the vintage clothing and the moldy look on his face, you know, the mold in his face and his green hair. And it looks like he's, you know, stuck his hand in or finger in a light socket. And, you know, it's just everywhere. And he's like, I feel like I have totally missed it. But Tim Burton looks at it and says, nope, that's it. Yes, that's exactly what we're looking for. And then actually iconic V. Neal, who is one of the greatest, one of the great.
Oh my God, I love her.
Yes, the FX designers actually was able to bring that creation to life, but it was his, and it was Michael Keaton's design that was improvised on. He had these characteristics of the character that he saw that he wanted to kind of bring to life, and which is interesting because following that, one of the things that I read is that he was very Tim Burton really encouraged his actors to improvise. So I kind of wonder how in the world, you know, did that play into the fashion aspect? Was because the actors actually had a bit of say so in what their character was doing and what they were like. It wasn't 100% Tim Burton stick to the script. This is the design of the character. This is what they are. But it was more along the lines of, you know, bring it to life, make it your own. And I think that kind of played into not only the character development, but also maybe the design and the fashion.
See, I love that idea because it gives it a different sort of life. And especially being a genetic Xer myself, having a love for Winona Ryder, she's our Gothic princess. You know, she was the girl that we all sort of aspired to be. You know, she was so precious. She was like, I think she was 17 when she did this movie. So young, she was lovely and Gothic when there wasn't much of that about. So it's good to see it. And she felt like a lot of her clothes could have been thrifted, which was also a major thing for the Goth style, especially then, because there wasn't all this sort of beautiful pre-made sort of things that you have. No, it was you bought something and you dyed it black and hoped that it took, you know, it just, and that you didn't have some sort of horrible brown color or, you know, faded gray. It's like, please let this be black when I finish dyeing it.
Please don't turn purple. Please don't turn purple.
She's lacy and lovely and almost bohemian, and the way that she dressed with the sort of flowing skirts and I just looked lovely. And the idea that they had even the tiniest bit of input into what their characters look like, I think that makes it more unique.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the making of the movie, because I think if you hear a little bit about the history of the original movie and how it came to be and how it came to be what we know it as, you kind of get a feel for some of the things that the characters were allowed to do, the actors were allowed to develop. So I have a couple of quotes here. Desson Howe of the Washington Post felt like Beetlejuice had the perfect balance of bizarreness, comedy, and horror. So the 1988 Warner Brothers movie and the pitch, I mean, as you can imagine, Tim Burton goes in and it's like, hey, I have this wonderful movie idea. I want to make this creepy movie about ghosts and death and all kinds of creepy things. But what was interesting is the original screenplay and the original script was much darker than what we ended up with. And when you think about some of the casting choices, so we know that Tim Burton met with Michael Keaton 3 times, but Michael Keaton was not the first choice for Beetlejuice, and I think that's kind of an interesting thing. So with Beetlejuice being more of a traditional horror movie with some camp thrown in, the original choice for Beetlejuice was supposed to have been Sammy Davis Jr. And the character was going to be more of a demon versus a exorcist. And he was his whole thing was killing people. He wanted to kill everybody. The relationship with Lydia was supposed to be much different. He wasn't interested in marrying her, but he was interested in hooking up with her. And the end of the movie, evidently, she was supposed to have been ripped apart. So there are all of these really dark. The original movie, according to the screenwriter Lawrence Selenik, who came up with the initial storyline was a horror novelist by the name of Michael McDowell. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Jonathan. We talked about him. So that was supposed to be a more traditional horror-esque type movie. And it didn't come until many rewrites later that we got the campy, fun version of what we have. The Maitland's death scene was supposed to be a lot more graphic. And the interesting thing with Beetlejuice that I found that they were talking about Sammy Davis Jr. as the pick to play him. He was supposed to be a, quote, Las Vegas lounge singer demon.
So, like, Lorne.
There you go. Absolutely. But it's an amazing, and I kind of think to myself, I'm like, in this day and age where we're taking family-friendly and child-friendly properties, and we are making things like Winnie the Pooh into horror movies, can we go back and get a version of this that was the original vision of, because I kind of want to see this creepy version of this.
That would be interesting.
I've loved this one since I first saw it, and I think the reason why I loved it though was that it was so absurd. It was bizarre and over the top and hilarious, but at the same time just a little on the creepy side. I know because my children, they're my children, so they're going to grow up with weird things. I have grown up with this particular one, and actually I just rewatched this with my wee one, my 12-year-old girl, because it's one of her favorite movies of all time. She loves it. And when she found out we were discussing it, she said, well, you have to watch it, Mum. I must watch it. I'm like, yeah. So we watched through it, and the very first thing she said was, are you going to cosplay Delia?
You're like, yes, I am.
God, the gloves were So I don't know. I like it that it is silly, that it is my idea of family friendly.
Oh no, it's family. I grew up, and my childhood quote that I would run around at like 5 years old would be to randomly kick a door and scream, nice fin model, and grab into the honk honk. Yeah. My parents thought it was hilarious.
I quite love that, actually. Meanwhile, my daughter walks around saying, I am myself strange and unusual.
That's such a good quote.
That's my girl.
Well, I think that was not that was the first time that we ever saw Gothic people and Goth people in screen and in film, but I think it was the first time that we ever took characters and made them easy to connect to. When you think about goths in film, a lot of times you run into them being the bad guy. You run into them being the misunderstood person, the outcast. And although Lydia did represent all of those things, not the bad guy, but the outcast, the people, the person that nobody really truly understood, you were connected to her. You were like, oh, I could be her
Relatable.
friend. Yeah, she was
Right.
very, very relatable. And that was one of the things that I really liked about when you think about goth culture, how it is represented sometimes very negatively.
Oh,
It did right
absolutely.
the opposite.
Oh, very much.
I don't know why, but there was this huge trend for such a long time to where like they would introduce this character and it would be the goth character and you'd be like, "Oh, that person looks cool." And they would just be the biggest dickhead
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
everyone. And
Mhm.
they were too cool for school and you're like, that is not what we have. You ever talked to one of us?
Nope.
We'd be the person
Absolutely.
being like, "Oh, look, a baby bird. I'm going to take it home and take care of it." And
Well, and though there's a standard trope when it comes to goth that we are all depressed and sad and pathetic and,
I mean,
sad
who's not
bastards.
nowadays?
And although there was that touch of that with our little Lydia, at the same time, she was so excited and happy about the things around her. I mean, how excited she got when she met the ghost. She's like, oh, she was so happy to meet them and she was delighted. And then at the end of the film, what does she do? She dances in midair. I mean, how less depressed can you be dancing to Harry Belafonte? So, it's. I
Even
love that
when
they made her still dark and still creepy
Mhm.
and gothic and dramatic, but at the same time, a real person.
Yeah, no, she had that curiosity to her. Like, yes, she's mopey and she's teenager. She was teenagery. I mean,
Aye.
Yeah.
what 17-year-old kid doesn't feel completely misunderstood and the world
Absolutely.
sucks and
Mhm.
like that's I think why it was so relatable. Like, yes, the gothic girl was sad and depressed and stuff, but I mean, she was 17. Have you met a 17-year-old? But
Aye.
the curiosity and like when things would happen and she's walking around and she's still messing with this camera and she's still doing all of these things. It was fun and it was really relatable.
You mentioned the music. You mentioned Jumpin' Line, the Harry
Mhm.
Belafonte song. And
Oh,
something
such
else, there is another little bit of information that I've heard before and I've read it before that I think is very, I think it's kind of fun. So the music is one of the things that really makes this movie. It is very lively. It's very upbeat. It's a lot of fun. Even the Danny Elfman soundtrack and his score is absolutely, it's a lot of fun. It's, you know, as soon as you hear Beetlejuice, you can hear his Danny Elfman soundtrack just bah, bah, bah. You hear it in your head and it's already starting. But the calypso music was not supposed to be part of the original soundtrack. So once again, Catherine O'Hara basically stepped in and said that I think that we should try the dinner scene using calypso music. So the original soundtrack was supposed to be R&B, and the dinner scene in particular was supposed to be to When a Man Loves a Woman versus Dao. Anybody want to finish that? Okay.
No. That was
Okay.
terrible. Okay.
So when she said, "Hey, let's give it a try with some calypso music," and they picked out the Harry Belafonte song "Deo," and it just really brought that scene to life. It
Why?
gave it a lot of energy. But Harry Belafonte actually ended up with 3 songs on the soundtrack. I know it was "Jumpin' Line," "Deo," and I cannot remember what the third song was. But the whole theme of calypso, and if you think about it, when that movie came out in the 80s, calypso was not at all a popular style of music. I believe that was maybe late 50s, early 60s. So actually having that reintroduced, and now everybody knows at least Deo and Jumpin' Line, because everybody knows those songs. And as soon as you hear them, your brain immediately goes, oh, that was part of the Beetlejuice soundtrack. So, but she actually was credited for picking that style of music versus traditional R&B.
I've always loved those scenes because not only is it adds to the comedic aspect, it's so out there and like what everyone's suddenly dancing and mouthing and long and
Uh-huh.
okay, well, yeah, I guess if there's ghosts here, that can happen. Any reason or excuse to have a musical number
Aye.
ever, I will take it. But these ones were just so fun. And like I don't know how many times I've seen people redo these and when the song comes on, you have to 6 foot, 7 foot, like you do the movements with them.
Yes.
You do the giant tarantula. You do all of the movements. It's so memorable, and you
Mhm.
can tell that they had such a fun time. And you can tell also it's not choreographed. Like if there is someone who like is officially the choreographer of that, I don't believe it because I totally think they were all sitting around the table and they were like, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this for this part. And hang on, tarantula. Like, I really think the actors just sat there and they're like, hang on, wait, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to turn the ice bucket into a drum.
Well, and once again, that was when you think about it, Tim Burton's like, I'm going to give my actors the ability to improvise, to
Mhm.
do whatever they want to do. So, yes, we are introducing a new type of music. It's going to be a bit more lively and upbeat. And I'm sure that there were some of the gags in place where I'm sure what's on screen is not the only take there was of that particular scene, because we know that the original was supposed to be When a Man Loves a Woman,
Mhm.
and I can't even imagine that
It
scene.
would
No.
be so slow.
It just doesn't feel possessed.
I know it feels like an orgy.
It feels like an orgy. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel okay. I always assumed that whenever this thing happened and they were taken over and the songs were going on, I always assumed it was Lydia who made the song choices, not the actresses outside, like the character in the movie. My assumption was Lydia was the one who she was the one who planned kind of the thing happening with the ghosts, and then later she's also dancing to the same artist again. So I was like, oh, well, that's Lydia's taste in music. Oh, okay.
But we don't know, because here's the thing. It is a very timeless movie, and there are so many different people from so many different eras. I'm not sure, because when you look at Barbara and Adam and their attire in the movie, that was actually very popular. That whole prairie style,
Mm.
heavy flowered dresses, puffy sleeves, those were very, um, it was a very common look in the 80s.
Laura Ashley.
Yeah, Laura Ashley, thank you. I was trying to think of what it was.
Mm.
God, I remember one of those jumpsuits so bad. Remember the ugly, ugly ass romper that was like,
With the lantern
was,
sleeves.
oh my God, it was the most hideous thing ever. I did convince my mother to buy me one, and I wore it like a couple of times, and I felt like the biggest idiot known to man in that outfit. I mean, if you, I'm at, Lauren, you probably have no idea what we're talking about, do you?
Not one clue. I know what a romper is because I too
Yeah.
have sat there in the public bathroom naked going, why did I wear this?
Oh, yeah. You said it was
My
Laura
mum-
Ashley?
My mum bought me a Laura Ashley dress with the not just the lantern sleeves, but the lantern sleeves with the ruffle on top, just for extra spice. I dyed it black. She wasn't happy, so
I think I ended up dyeing mine black as well. Okay. Hang on.
Like there's a theme here, ladies.
Well, back in the day when we were young, if you wanted goth clothing, we
had to
had
make
to,
it.
yeah, we upcycle, which is interesting now that oh gosh, this conversation is coming around full circle. So that was how Delia was basically us, just a little bit older. Oh my gosh, I never really thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everything,
There was.
always.
I saw a meme recently that said something along the lines of, all older goth ladies must come to that moment in their life when they must admit that they are no longer the sweet, young, delicate Lydia, and have become, in fact, Delia, who is old, tired, screaming about the aesthetic and telling ghosts to shut up.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I think that most women hit about 40 years old, some of them not even 40, and they become Delia. And, That is so true. By the way, I have. It's not one with the sleeves, but I can give you an idea of what these ugly, ugly, ugly rompers look like. You want to see?
Mm,
Oh yeah, bring
mm.
it.
Oh God, yes.
Oh,
Now imagine that with puffy sleeves that are long sleeves. Yeah, they were the
Mm,
most hideous things
mm.
known to man, and they were so
it's a
popular.
onesie.
It was,
It is. Aye.
yeah,
That was the
It's
thing. It
what
was.
it's what you tuck your newborn into to make sure that their temperatures are regulated at night.
yes, and just imagine at some point Magda and I wore that.
Aye. And pink, no less.
Yes, until we die.
No, you
Mine
don't
was
understand. My mother was determined to dress me in pink from the time I was born to the time I hit about 11, when I sort of rebelled and said, I'm done. And all in one weekend, I took every piece of clothing I owned and threw it in the washer and dyed it all black, literally in one weekend. She gave up after that.
Oh, we used tubs to dye things black. Like you dye something black in the washer, and like everything you put in there afterwards for the next however long is coming out some tone of gray.
Oh,
yeah, we
I
learned
know.
that.
I did it on purpose. I knew.
We learned that the hard way. We really did. It's like everything in your house was some shade of
Gray.
gray or black. And
Gray.
but I have to admit, Rit dye kept us
Mm,
in business. Because I
mm,
mean, yes.
mm.
Mhm.
All right, so we've
License
talked about
pastels to Otho are kryptonite.
yes. We've talked about the movie for a while. There's a couple other things that we can hit on. I mean, there was the cartoon show.
Mhm.
There was the musical. There's been a lot of things that have come out since. Here we go. Here's some pictures of the cartoon, which are hard to find full episodes of. I've been
Aye.
trying to find it for my youngest to watch. So
I
yeah, if
think
you
you
know where
actually have to buy it on
Aye.
DVD.
is
And
it?
There was a
yes.
comic? I didn't know
Yes, there
that.
was a comic, Harvey
How
Comics.
precious
So
is that?
the animated series ran from 1989 to 1991.
Mm.
And then there was a 6-issue short run comic that was by Harvey Comics that ran from 91 to 92. There was also it's listed as a juvenile, but it's juvenile paperback series that was based off of the comic or the cartoon as well, which is kind of interesting because now you have this movie that influenced a lot of I'm going to say teenage to older goth people, and it really kind of struck a nerve with them, and we continue to see that now. I mean, there are so many different lines of Beetlejuice inspired clothing that come out every year, every
Mhm.
single year.
And
Every
makeup.
still.
There's makeup palettes as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh yes, and then you have the children's show. You have the animated show. You have the comic books. You have the book series. So you have all of these things that I mean, it was wide reaching, wrapped his arms around everybody. I mean, when you think about the cultural impact that it had, not only on normies,
Broadway,
Broadway.
Aye.
Good.
There's a
Speaking of that,
musical. That's right. There's a musical.
which
2018, and it's still running.
I've
uh,
never seen it.
it,
Have
it
either of
stopped,
you?
it stopped for a while. There was some issues with like production cost and all that. It is quite a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen it, or I
Ooh.
don't know
I
if
have
you've ever
not.
watched the
Oh.
slime tutorial, if you know what I'm talking about
Mm.
there. Um, I've never been able to see it live. It is so expensive to get tickets to. It is like wicked
Yeah.
cost. It
Mm.
is up
Yes.
there with Les Mis and Wicked, and those are all shows I've never been able to afford to go to. So slime tutorials it is for me. But if you do ever watch it, you can tell there is so much that goes not just with the costume changes and all of that, but with the props, and it's really good. Like if you have not sat down, don't expect the movie, don't expect the cartoon show. Yeah, they're gonna throw some weird things at you. Lydia's a little more whiny than I would like her to be. It's not perfect, but it is really cool if you can step outside of the zone and be like, this is its own Beetlejuice thing.
Mhm.
Um, I highly, highly recommend watching the musical. The songs are great. The comedy, they nail that line between the show being serious and then the show being its own kind of version of a comedy. And seeing Beetlejuice, like, I'm acting and look, I'm interacting with this, and then turn and just start talking to the audience like this is normal. And breaking that fourth wall, it's really fun. It's a great musical.
So there is one more thing that I found that evolved from the culture that a lot of people probably are unaware of, but there's a destination. There is a Beetlejuice trailer park. And it looks so, I have no idea where it is. I just ran across this. As you can see, I actually was like grabbing clips from like a video I was watching. So I need to see if I can find out where this is, because I'm one of those people that I love themed hotels. I love all that stuff so much. And I feel like this is going to be one of those places that I really want to go.
I
I'm really
want to
gonna need to
go. My mouth's dropped open.
That is
I
the
know.
perfect place for some sort of photo shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yes.
Hey,
I
well,
feel
it's
like
not
that.
like us three ladies here have anything going on with a photo shoot idea.
I know.
So we're already 40 minutes in. We have not even started talking about
The new movie,
the
Beetlejuice
new movie.
2. And I think that's probably what everybody is coming here to see. So yes, now we have confirmation, obviously through the trailer now, because there's actually an official trailer, but we do know that a lot of the cast members are returning. Several are not, for different
That's so
reasons.
exciting. That makes me so happy.
So
Yeah.
we know that Catherine O'Hara, we know that Winona Ryder, we know that Michael Keaton is returning, and then there's also some new characters that I'm really super excited to see. So let's
Jenna
talk about.
Mother effing Ortega.
Actually, no, she's not the one that I'm most anxious
I
to
am
see.
so excited to see Jenna
tell?
Ortega in this.
Who
All right,
are
what's
you most
yours excited?
So Monica Bellucci is
Bellucci?
yes, she is slated to play Beetlejuice's wife.
I'm having a
We're
Google
gonna get a
this.
Miss Beetlejuice. What?
Oh,
Monica, but what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Please go look her up.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, please go.
Someone
ever
pull up
there
a
was a
picture
girl-
of Monica. Ba-da-ba.
If ever there
Bellucci,
was
yeah.
a girl crush, Monica Bellucci's got to be it.
Oh, yeah.
That woman is sex on a stick.
And then one of my favorites, anytime I see Willem Dafoe. Yes. So Willem Dafoe is actually
Love
playing a ghost. But he is a detective that used to be a B movie action star in real life.
Oh my
I
god!
am so on board for this. Okay,
Oh,
that's
thank
Monica.
you.
Yeah,
She's gorgeous. I don't think I know her from anything, but she's gorgeous.
Matrix.
you probably do.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
She did.
You have probably seen her many, many times. You just probably don't recognize her. And I do believe that she probably was more popular in the late 80s or early 90s, if I remember correct. 2000s, maybe early 2000s.
I'm currently on IMDb
Actually,
trying to figure it out.
It's sad. This is going to be tragic to see, but probably my absolute favorite movie that she's ever been in. It's one of the worst movies of all time, but I love it. It's a Clive Owen movie called Shoot 'Em Up. It's so stupid. It's like if you imagine Clive Owen is an evil version of Bugs Bunny. I don't know how else to describe it. It's so horrible. It's like the worst movie ever, and I love it. And Monica Bellucci's in it, and she is just so sexy in it. It's delightful. It's so stupid, but I love it.
Sorry, I had to Google her, and I'm over here on IMDb, and now I'm all like, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
She was one of the brides.
She was the one.
Yeah, she was bride.
Looking at this picture right now of that specific bride, we have a friend who is a cosplayer that would kill this cosplay.
Who?
Sarah?
Oh, Sarah. Oh, Wonder Woman from yesterday.
Yes.
Sarah. Oh, yes, she would be amazing.
That would be absolutely.
She's in the second Matrix, I think it was. She wears this unbelievable latex outfit that you just look at and think, there's no way I could wear that. Talk about second skin. As even
Mm,
literally the color of her skin is
mm,
stunning.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't
remember
know
that one
too
now.
many she's been in. I'm so sorry. I'm excited about Jenna Ortega, which
She's
I know a
adorable.
lot of people really rolled their eyes when she was cast in this. I heard a lot of complaints online, and to those people, I have to say, get over it. We had our gothic queens
Hi.
from our time. We
Yes.
had our Lydia Deetz. We had our Wednesday Adams, and you know what? She is the new Wednesday.
She
If
seemed
I don't know if
perfect
you've
to me.
yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but like the ladies who are these gothic idols that we look
Mhm.
up to, and then we're like, oh my gosh, they're so happy. They played many different gothic roles.
Aye.
Oh,
And
yes.
that is what Jenna Ortega is currently
Mhm.
doing. And I'm just like, yes, let the tradition continue.
When I
Please
saw that
pass
she
the
was
torch.
cast, all I could think was, well, that's perfect, isn't it?
Right?
I couldn't think of anyone else that they could have put in that particular role. I mean, as Lydia's daughter, I thought, well, of course, for
It
this generation, that's perfect.
it is a
Mhm.
perfect match. I think what kind of throws people off a little bit is that it's not so much that it's her, is that we do have other actresses out there who can pull off more gothic characters.
Oh, I'm sure.
Um, but we can, but she was the one who fit the role. She,
I,
her playing Wednesday, and I think I've already shared. I'm not a huge fan. I like the Wednesday series, but I'm not a huge fan of it because I think that they kind of um, rip apart the nature of the family relationship.
See, that was my one problem. I didn't like the way that the relationship, especially between her and Morticia, I felt to me
That was
well,
strange.
and
That
totally,
was very
totally. I didn't like it.
well, and also between Morticia and Gomez, I think they
I
were
didn't feel
everybody seemed
to me
constantly
they are
fighting.
the most perfect family of all time because they are
Mhm.
so respectful of each other and so affectionate towards each other that they would never put themselves in the sort of situation where they were that alienated from each other. I felt like that wouldn't have happened. So yeah, I agree. That was probably my one fuss about the entire series.
I enjoyed it, but I am on I have a very little who is just getting into like
Oh
any
yes.
sort of horror
Aye.
gothic. I know we all have our littles.
She's so
Mine is
precious.
the super
Cutest
young one.
ever.
And she loved this series, and I watched it with her multiple times because, of course, when they're 4 years old and the thing comes out and it's their new
Aye.
obsession, there you go. Um, I I liked certain aspects of it. I can see where they were going with the new series, which we're now on Wednesday, and we're supposed to be talking about Beetlejuice. But
Oh
I'm just
no,
gonna keep going.
we're gonna
Aye.
we're gonna
Uh,
tie this back in just a minute.
That's fitting.
okay, um, I enjoyed it a lot because I saw where they were going with the whole, okay, what is really popular right now? It's these magical characters going to a school in the middle of no. You could see Tim Burton sat down and he watched what kids are watching and what they enjoy and what they like. And he went, okay,
We're
I
not just
like that. I'm going to pull from that. That's pretty cool. I'm going to pull from that. And he kind of melded them all together with something that's already a fan favorite. And in my opinion, I think it worked pretty well. It got a huge cult following. It brought a lot
oh
of the
yeah,
kids back into this genre.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm done.
absolutely. No. I don't fault it in by any means in the storyline and stuff like that. The only issue that I had with it, truthfully, was I thought that the relationship between the family was very
Aye.
strained.
Mhm.
But we're also talking about most of us are familiar with the movie versions with Angelica Houston and Raul Julia and Christina Ricci. Yeah,
Julia.
yes,
Oh,
and then and you see that dynamic in that relationship, and then you realize how strained it is. But you're also talking about a family that has I mean, Wednesday was probably in middle school, so she wasn't a high school student. So I mean, it's not a far cry to think that she would not grow into that strained relationship, especially with her mother, because uh, those of us who have daughters, If you don't have a strained relationship now, it's coming. Have fun. It's coming because
Oh,
you will be the worst ever.
I
I know you go from being their best friend and who they want to be to being you can't do anything correct. So
I
there is
could
that.
I
Oh, go
could
ahead.
possibly be just a little bit on the salty side simply because I do have a child who is 12 years old.
Hmm.
She's just sort of now exploring being a girl and, you know, what she likes and what she's excited about and who she's going to be growing into.
Hmm.
I'm lucky to have a very good relationship with both of my children.
Oh
Um,
yes.
they're they don't think I'm cringe, so that's nice. At this point, I'm still quite cool to them, which I don't think is all that amazing. I'm not that cool to myself, so the
I
fact
think
that
you're
they think so
cool.
is
I like
lovely.
your call.
I have a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old, and magically, we haven't had that many fights. I don't know how I managed it, but I did manage to create two little creatures that are very self-possessed. They knew who they are. They're fine with that, and they don't feel like they need to be. My kids think I'm so cringe, says
Oh
Brian.
no.
Not yet. I'm sure it's going to happen eventually, but somehow I have two wee ones who know who they are, comfortable who they are, and haven't had the problem of too much peer pressure. They've had it. They reject it. They say, "No, I'm fine with who I am." So I'm just like, "Oh, I've done something right in
You
my
did
life."
it right. Yes.
Well, and here's the thing. Um, those of us who are unique parents, it's not that our kids think that we're cringe. They're just tired of us being in their space. It has absolutely
That's fair.
nothing. Yes, it has
That's fair.
absolutely nothing to do because, quite honestly, my both of mine will gladly. It's like, this is my mother. Look at my mother. My mother is so much cooler than yours. My mother sings in a rock band. My mother, not
Yeah.
anymore, but yeah, it's like so. And that is what you happens when you have teenage kids and grown kids and growing up children that are dealing with unique. You're not a cookie cutter mom. um Speaking of not being a cookie cutter mom, so going back to Delia, Catherine O'Hara was not their first choice.
Ooh.
Who was the first choice?
Well, I'm just going to say we're bouncing off of the Addams family. Angelica Houston was
Oh.
actually given the role, but had to turn it down because of illness, and she could not actually make the demands of the role at the time. So, and I don't know in reference to Morticia, because I mean, honestly, I cannot imagine anybody other than Catherine
I.
O'Hara in that role
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
But when you start thinking about all of the characters that were supposed to be, Sammy Davis Jr. as Beetlejuice, Alyssa Milano as Lydia.
Mm.
It was between her and Winona Ryder. Angelica Houston as
I
Delia.
could see I could see Angelica Houston. That's like the closest. Whenever we were talking about her
I.
before, when we were talking about the Addams family, my brain was like, "Oh my god, she'd be so good in Beetlejuice as a character." And I was like,
I.
"I should say that," and but someone else was talking, so I was like, "I'm going to wait on it." And then you mentioned that.
I could see it, but I'm glad that Catherine O'Hara was someone that did it. I love her.
Yeah.
Plus, she's sort of a Tim Burton carryover character, if that
Oh
makes
yes.
sense. You know, being
She was
Sally
Sally,
from The
right?
Nightmare
Yep.
Before Christmas, and I've just always loved her. She's so over the top and strange and bizarre and wacky, and manages to be so indescribably erudite and classical and yet bass at the same time. And I love that she manages to pull all that together.
As a young person, I remember watching this movie thinking, "Oh my gosh, I wanted to be Lydia so bad." But now I look at Delia and I'm like, that is who I evolved into.
I
I
know I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, we're talking about all of these wonderful women actresses here. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Hey Tim, if you're watching this, we would really like a super powerhouse gothic movie featuring all of these women. I'm talking about
Please.
your tried and true
Mm,
regular actresses. I'm talking
mhm.
we got to get Angelica Houston. I don't know if he's worked
Yep.
with her or not, but got to get Angelica Houston in there. We've got to get Winona Ryder in there. We've got to get oh gosh, you just cosplayed her, DL.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Helena Bottom Card. We need a
Aye.
powerhouse, giant gothic thing of the
Yes.
best women
Yeah.
of horror. And yeah,
I'd watch
anyway,
it.
I want it.
So I do believe we're kind of coming up to the top of the hour, and I just kind of want to touch base. I know that has gone so quickly. I had so much information actually regarding who Beetlejuice was in life. I found that out.
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
Well, we'll
just
just
so
have
you,
to talk about it again when the movies come. The newest movie comes
yeah.
out.
So once
There
the
we
new
go.
movie
We'll
comes
do a
out,
movie
yeah.
review.
Yeah. But I don't think that we can go without saying that one of the best characters in that movie had to be Juno, the caseworker. I
She was
loved her.
fantastic. I'll never not laugh about the throat. The
Yes.
first time that my daughter watched it, she didn't notice until about halfway through. And she just went,
There's so many characters that are side characters in the movie that are just so memorable. The one
Miss
when I had my
Argentina.
little accent.
Miss Argentina.
Yes, Miss
Aye.
Argentina.
Mhm.
So many of them. There's the shrunken head guy that's sitting in the waiting room, and
The crispy individual who's still smoking.
I don't know why, but the flat dude that just goes like flying through the
Oh,
thing.
he was
I
great.
will never forget the flat dude.
There were so many wonderful, interesting characters, but Sylvia Sidney, wwho played Juno, and I just kind of want to kind of wrap things up with this, talking about powerhouse performances. So you're talking about a movie that won Best Makeup as an Academy Award. It won Saturn Awards for Best Best Makeup, Best Horror Film. But also, she was recognized as the Best Supporting Actress for that movie, and her character was absolutely amazing. Sadly, we cannot obviously bring her back into the film, but it was just such an amazing role, and it had such iconic characters. So let's kind of close out. Like I said, we are quickly approaching. That was a word. Quickly approaching the end of the hour. What are you most interested in possibly seeing, and what do you hope to see in the new movie?
Musical number. I want a new musical number. I want something that is so iconic that people do it for like burlesque shows out there, and they're nodding to it. I want a new musical number, please. Tim.
I look forward to seeing my Gothic princess and to see her again. I mean, obviously she's been a lovely thing since, but I look forward to seeing Lydia as my age.
I think the thing that I'm most interested in seeing is Michael Keaton take on this role again, because before he stepped into the role of Beetlejuice, he was basically, what was it? Blah, 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 daddy mom, mom, dad.
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom. Yes, thank you.
Mr.
So
Mom.
basically, the roles that he played did not, and he accepted, did not match what that character was. The wild, outlandish, over the top characters were not something you normally associated with Michael Keaton. And honestly, from that movie also landed him the role as Batman. So, he went on to work with Tim Burton, as most of his characters from that series did. But yes, I mean, I'm very anxious to see him, because to me, I don't feel like you could have got the original cast back without a hell of a script. Because if you've waited this long, it's got to be good.
Are there any? All right, we have 1 minute left. Are there any characters that have not made an appearance yet in the trailers that you wish would be repeated back?
No, that are still alive. I mean, Glenn Shaddix, who was Otho, he's gone.
Yeah.
So that was really the only one, but we can't have him because he's gone.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, I understand why the man who played the father is not returning. There were a lot of issues, criminal issues, that we won't get on into this. And, I know that they are killing off his character. At least that's kind of from the scene here. Yeah, we do
Charles's
see.
funeral.
Yeah, we do kind of get the feeling, but there are so many iconic characters that I don't think you're going to be able to bring back because it's been so long. Um, I think that we're fortunate to have who we have, and I'm happy to see. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm dying to see Miss Beetlejuice. I am dying to meet what Beetlejuice's wife is going to be, and of course Willem Dafoe, because I'm like
Love him.
Willem Dafoe is so good in anything he
magical.
does.
everything.
Like, okay, I watched the Death Note movie, the Netflix Death Note movie, for Willem Dafoe because I knew that he was gonna be the Shinigami. He was Ryuk. He's cast as Ryuk. Okay, watching that, was it good? But Willem Dafoe was wonderful.
Yes, he was. I will make a recommendation if you have not seen the movie. I do believe it's called What Happened to What Happened to Monday. That is a great movie that he is in. He is. Why are you making a face?
I'm sorry. You almost said What Happened to Wednesday, and I don't know what movie you're talking about. I've never seen it before. But my brain is like, okay, whatever movie this is, we're gonna do a spoof now of Wednesday Addams, and it's What Happened to Wednesday, right? But I don't know what you're talking about, so please continue.
I don't think you could really spoof this movie.
Okay.
It is kind of. I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, but it is. It is, yeah. It's you would really have to go watch this movie. It's absolutely amazing. Yes, and thank you so much. I am dying to see him in Nosferatu. Absolutely,
Brilliant. I don't doubt it.
The closest thing that we got to seeing him was Shadow of the Vampire, which is one of my favorite movies known to man. So, but yes. So, hello,
hi. Was there any? Hi, bye. What's going on?
I don't know.
Did the podcast just have a stroke?
I did. I think. I don't know.
All right. We are past the top of the hour. Was there anything that happened else this weekend that anyone wants to talk about? Because I did totally forget to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We went to the drive-in and we went to go see the brand new movie on the opening night, Abigail, which was the if you've seen the trailers, spoilers, because the spoilers are in the damn trailers, but it's a little girl who is kidnapped by these people and they're ransoming her for money, and surprise, she's not actually a little girl. She is like a however many 100-year-old vampire who is going to kill them, and this is a game to her. It is fun.
Tell me it was good.
It was so good in all of the corny best ways. Like you know something's going to happen, and you're like, you want it, but the way that they did it, it's like, oh, this is gonna happen here, right? And then it doesn't, and you're like, oh, come on, do the thing, and then they do it, and you're like, yes! And you get you know what's gonna happen. It's not gonna be like, oh, super mind trick, or like it's not oh God, what's the guy who's the director who is known for Sixth Sense, Sign?
Shyamalan.
It's not a Shyamalan movie. It's not going to blow your mind on the twist. It is so obviously made for the fans just to be like, yeah, yes! Like, it is fun. It is stupid in all of the good ways. It is hokey. We left the theater and as we were there, we were like watching to be like, okay, what shoes is she wearing? Because my 6-year-old is already like, I want to cosplay her. I want to cosplay her. And so we're sitting there in the theater like, what are those? Sparkly tennis shoes with stars. Okay, silver sparkly tennis shoes with stars on the side, because there was no template yet. You look up the movie and you're like, cosplay Abigail. No one has done any. It just released. So we're jotting down notes in the drive-in theater in the car, trying to find this stuff because she's so excited about having her bloody tutu outfit. Anyway.
The one thing I have heard about Abigail, and this is pretty consistent, it is the best vampire movie to come out in a very long time, is what people are saying about it. And I think it's unique enough that and fun enough that I would probably agree with that. So I'm dying to see it. And I might have to go do that this weekend.
My final thoughts leaving and driving out of the drive-in theater was, if they do not make a sequel of that, I am going to be mad. And they need to do it quick,
Yeah.
because the little girl, who, by the way, was so, I cannot believe this was a child playing this role, so good. If you've ever seen the Netflix musical, that was the musical adaptation of Matilda,
Mhm.
she's the lead in Matilda. So this
Oh.
child is like
Oh.
trained to dance, trained to sing. When she's doing the ballet stuff up there, they're not having to like pan away and then back. And it's her on toes doing stuff. Such a good little actress. So wonderful. The lead female, who is one of the people who kidnap her, such a good act. Like, everyone's roles were perfectly cast. I do have to say, the guy who's like obviously the drug addicts guy who acts like it in the movie,
Mhm.
unfortunately he passed away, the actor, before the movie appeared.
Oh.
So it is a little sad there, but we didn't know that when we first saw it. I had to tell my daughter after and be like, baby, so this happened and this actor is no longer with it. I'm so sorry, because she wanted to watch it again like the next day.
Aw. All right. Well, I think that we are at the top of the hour, and I think it is a good time to take a break, take a breath, and say pleasant screams. And we will see you next time in about 2 weeks.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Sorry.
With that cut.